welcome to another episode of our RS Tech Talk. In today's episode, we're diving into the challenges in reliability, cybersecurity, data transparency, and future scalability in industrial network. And to help us break this down, we are joined by our guest from Schneider Electric. So before we jump in, Grant, could you introduce yourself and tell our viewers a little bit about your role at Schneider?
Of course. My name is Grant Van Hemert, and I'm what they call a senior offer manager. Now, an offer manager carries a product from through its life cycle, from introduction into the market, through its whole life cycle, all the way to obsolescence. So anytime you ever hear about, a product update coming out or anything like that, we're behind the scenes managing all of that. So
Gotcha.
one of the things I focus on is not just the networking, but also all of the PLCs that we have within Schneider Electric in the U.S. And I've been around in the industry since 1989. I've worked with a variety of OEMs, systems integrators. This is my second time at Schneider Electric. I've worked with consulting firms. So I've actually sat on the pickle buckets at 2 o'clock in the morning, trying to get the systems up and running, to working with regulators and mayors and things along those lines that have a complete different side of things. So I've been around the block and been exposed to almost all of it.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, thank you for that, Grant, and happy to have you here with us. Now, given your experience working in the industry, you have sounds like a really great perspective on what customers are looking for. So to set the stage, plants are moving rapidly from traditional Fieldbus to Ethernet. So what's driving that shift from your vantage point?
Well, it's very simple. In the days of old, networks were slow. And as a result, to accomplish a goal with a network, a new network was devised. So Modbus, RTU, Foundation, Fieldbus, OSI, CanOpen, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Each of them had a unique protocol, and they also had unique wiring. Okay, so imagine this. You would have multiple protocols within a panel, each had a different wiring method, each had a different protocol. It made troubleshooting and all of that an absolute mess. But on the IT side, as technology evolved, they did things differently. They used a single network wiring method and devised different protocols. The result of this mindset was Ethernet, okay? And as SCADA began to enter the control room, it became clear that this was the bridge between the automation and business side of a facility. So slowly it became apparent that the IT-oriented Ethernet structure needed to enter the automation side of things. Right. Ethernet has now proven itself to be reliable enough to handle the demands of the automation while providing this energy to the business side of the house. The result is enterprise visibility from plant floor to the boardroom, all while providing a single wiring method, which makes troubleshooting easier. Of course, and then you also get better analytics, greater uptime, and better energy management and overall efficiency. So it makes your plant more streamlined, a lot easier to manage, and gives you a lot more power than what you have with all these individual networks.
Okay, I understand. So pretty much trying to get up to speed with modern technology to get more speed and clarity on their plants then.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, so with Ethernet at the core, why Schneider? What makes you stand out in the industrial networking?
Why Schneider? Well, it's interesting. We've been around in the automation world since its infancy, okay? We invented the motor starter. We also invented the modern circuit breaker and the first safety switch. Some of those inventions go all the way back to the early 1900s. Later, we invented the first PLC. We invented the first industrial network, which was Modbus. And later, our Cymax controllers were the first to incorporate Ethernet into the processors. Okay? Today, we continue that tradition with open architecture platforms that are actually tearing down the vendor-specific wall. It used to be back in the day that if you used Vendor X's network, you use Vendor X's controllers, you use Vendor X for everything. That's no longer the case, and we are definitely really moving towards that direction. Our Modicon switches take advantage of this legacy by providing secure and design practices and IEC 62443-4 cybersecurity compliance. Our switches and platforms accept current standards such as Ethernet IB, Modbus TCP, and others. We have a broad validated portfolio of unmanaged, managed, extended, PoE, redundancy types of switches, and this provides a very flexible technology for you. So we can adapt to your system, whether you are using our ecosystem or not.
Okay, really nice to hear. Sounds like a lot of flexibility when it comes to your switch type and what Schneider has to offer. So since you mentioned that, can you give us just a really quick guide to the Modicon network lineup and how to pick the right switch?
Sure. And sometimes you have to combine several of these together. So let's just cover the basic terms. The first is an unmanaged switch, and this is actually pretty basic. Okay.
Right.
And so this has a simple fixed setup. You just plug your Ethernet device in, and what will happen is when your signal hits the switch, it gets broadcasted to all the other ports, and off it goes. There's really no management. It's just a way to start connecting multiple devices together, and there's an easy portal landing in a lot of places. A managed switch, these are used for traffic direction or where blocking is required. Okay, so you may want certain protocols that get through, certain protocols that don't. Traffic that comes in from port 1, you may want it to go out port 8, but not port 7. This is what a managed switch does. Okay,
Gotcha.
And it also allows for ring redundancy, because if you hook everything together in a ring, traffic has to go one way predominantly. And then if there's a break, it needs to go the opposite way. Well, that is done through management. So that's what these switches do. There's then another level of switch. We call this a redundant switch. So even though the managed switches can do ring redundancy, a redundancy switch goes a little bit farther. Okay, these are more robust, mission critical, segmented architectures, such as those based on PRP protocols. So instead of a ring, you may have dedicated multiple paths out to each device. So that multiple pathways gives you the redundancy. But if you break that in any one place, then you're assured to continue communication with the other places on your line. So it gives you a little better. Now, there's another thing here that we call PoE, and this is for power over Ethernet. And you can get a power over Ethernet unmanaged switch, you can get a power over Ethernet managed switch, or you can get managed and unmanaged without PoE. So what is PoE? This is what is used for cameras predominantly, and maybe access points and other things like this. So on these devices, they're designed that instead of having a power line going straight out to this camera, all you do is you run your Ethernet cable out. And so that camera will pull its power off of that Ethernet cable. So your switch has to be specially done because that power is not just routed that way. It's a special 43, 48 volt power. And so it has to be injected into that cable. And that's what the PoE rated switch does, is it makes sure that power is available for that device.
All right.
And then the last thing we have is standard versus extended. Okay, and this more gets into the environment. The standard is controlled industrial environments such as server rooms or control panels that are located predominantly in air-conditioned spaces. Where extended is for severe harsh environments such as high-temperature areas or areas where conformal coating is required. They also tend to have a higher resistance to humidity, vibration, electrical noise. So, for instance, outside in the Arizona sunshine at a wastewater pump station, okay, or an oil and gas well where you may have hydrogen sulfide, or you may put this out into an area where they're doing metal smelting and things like that, where the environment is not necessarily electronics friendly. That's where you would go with the extended. So those are the different types of features and types of switches that we have. Awesome.
Well, really appreciate that, that quick rundown. I'm sure it's helpful for a lot of our viewers and what Schneider can offer. Now, uptime is a KPI that many customers care about, right? So how is Schneider keeping these networks online?
Well, we've already touched a little bit about it. So we do have self-healing rings. So like I said, if you got a ring redundancy and you get a break over here, then instead of the traffic going this way, it'll go this way to pick up all of your devices. Or it may go this way to the break and then this way back around until it hits the break again. That's the point of a self-healing ring. And then when you get that connection back together, it'll just magically reroute itself to give the most optimum path that's needed. Deterministic Ethernet remote I/O, we do that with our controllers, to make sure that everything gets in on an absolute timely basis, so that when you say, okay, I need to shut the valve off on the other side of the plant, you're not waiting 45 minutes, or I should say 45 seconds, excuse me. I hope you never have to wait that long, 45 minutes.
Right.
But in older systems, sometimes you'd press a button and you'd have to wait for a period of time. With a deterministic remote I/O set up properly, you press that button, that device activates really quickly, okay? Redundant controllers, redundant network paths, like I said, either ring redundancy or PRP, which stands for Parallel Redundancy Protocol. Going into things with industrial design as far as dual power inputs, extended temperatures, coded printed circuit boards. Our newest capability, as I mentioned, of PRP redundancy is really setting a higher bar for us in regards to uptime and high availability. I could go on for an hour for just this new technology to our portfolio. Yeah. But the thing is by the end of the day, all of these gives you the ability to let you keep running while you fix it.
Understood. Yeah, pretty much like that keep running while you fix it approach. I really appreciate that. Now, let's talk about OT cybersecurity. How does Schneider help teams segment, monitor, and protect their industrial networks?
Well, cybersecurity is a buzzword, and really the thing to understand it is really a philosophy. There's all kinds of things about cybersecurity. It's not just a one size fits all. I mean, for instance, we have cybersecurity services that you could hire us to come in and assess your whole cybersecurity portfolio in the plant. But really what we're talking about is device-based cybersecurity, okay? So we have role-based access control, VLAN segmentation, and we do a lot of secure by design practices, okay? As mentioned before, our switches have IEC 62443-4.1 and 4.2. This has been independently verified by TÜV. This is the highest level of cybersecurity that is available for any device on the market, whether it's a switch, HMI, PLC, or what have you. So we have gone the distance and done what we needed to do to make sure that these devices are as robust as possible.
Okay, so pretty much those features sound huge for OT. Now, since plants are still running legacy devices such as serial networks, Modbus RTU, and so on, what is the path to a modern network architecture without rip and replace?
Yeah, rip and replace is not necessarily a good thing because, you know, what that basically means is you shut your plant down, rip it all out, replace it, and then try to start it up. And that typically has proven to be problematic, okay? But Ethernet technology in the industrial marketplace is based on copper and fiber wire methodologies. We really don't use wireless methodologies too much because the concern is interference from other radio sources. Could that interfere with your signal? Could you get a delay and that type of thing? So you don't see a lot of Wi-Fi. You see actual copper or fiber based, okay? If you're moving from an older network like a Modbus or maybe Data Highway Plus or Modbus Plus to an Ethernet backbone, you shouldn't just shut it down, okay? What you need to do is you start by installing your first piece of Ethernet architecture. Start by running some wire, or you run your fiber, okay? And you start with an area usually close to the server room where you've already got Ethernet at and say, okay, where's my closest PLC? We'll tie that in first. And then you start running out to the various areas. You may look at your main PLC and go, yes, it's got a variety of rings on an old, let's say it's an old Quantum, and it's got the old S908 quad fiber shield connection. So you look and say, okay, I'm going to run a fiber connection or whatever parallel to that S908 cable to all my remote racks. And then one by one, I'm going to start moving them onto the fiber or Ethernet connection or a copper Ethernet connection. So you do this in a phased approach. And each time you bring Ethernet into an area, you may have 3 or 4 devices. You may not want to bring all those 3 to 4 devices in at one time. So that's where gateways come involved. So you bring the Ethernet out, you bring your first device in on Ethernet, the rest you use a gateway, so you're using the old network and you're still bringing back the main signals to the fiber. And then that's how you do it. Very slow and methodical.
Got it. Okay. Well, really great to hear that the path to modern Ethernet architecture is not really cumbersome, it sounds like that, and they could rely on devices being adaptable to the future. Now, a follow-up question that customers might ask after learning about Schneider solution and Ethernet networks is, where do I start? So Grant, where should they start with Schneider Electric to get a solution?
Well, SE.com and the RS websites are a great place to start learning about all this, okay? We also have technical support and engineering resources to guide you in that selection. And when I say we, I mean both Schneider Electric and RS.
That's right.
Okay? This is not just limited documentation, training, or application notes, but it also, in the case of what we have on board, this extends to specialized engineers that can assess your facility and help you to come up with a plant design that assures uptime while protecting your budget. So we can help you lay out the migration path and the upgrade path to come off of whatever network you're using and going over to Ethernet.
Mhm. Awesome, awesome. Well, really fantastic insights, Grant. And that pretty much wraps up everything I had for you. So thank you again for joining us and helping our viewers understand how Schneider Electric is leading the way in making industrial networking smarter.
Thank you.
Yeah, not a problem. And to everyone, thank you for watching. Remember to contact RS or Schneider for assistance on your network application. And we'll catch you on the next RS Tech Talk. Thank you.